I love doing sponsorship. How many of you have to do sponsorship? Let's see, just a little show of hands. You have to ask for money, right? None of you people have to ask for money. That's wonderful. Those of you that, wait, put your hands back up. Oh, that's much better. How many of you love doing it? Well, that's about the way it works. You don't like doing it because you feel like you're begging. You don't like to ask. You fold over. And I'm going to show you that you're doing something worthwhile. This coronavirus crisis absolutely gave me a brilliant idea for sponsorship. Can anybody think of what it is? Hand, right? The hand washing things. You can go to them. I have a convention with 4,000 people. I will allow you to be a sponsor. You have to give me 4,000 little samples. You have to mail them out to the members, but we will make you the official sponsor. How much money could you get if you got 4,000 people coming? This is an interactive question, okay? So I just see what you think you could get, 4,000 people. Could you get $10,000? Yeah. Of course you could. So I give you that as a free gift, but good heavens, while we're in the midst of this, I can't. I had, for my Uganda trip, I had 14 dentists who were, notice the tense, were going in November. Gee, Sylvia, we're just too worried. We're worried about the coronavirus. Not a problem. I said, come in June, by then the crisis should be over. Talk a little bit about sponsorship trends, what sponsors want, where to find them, and how to get started. So, the first thing you have to remember is sponsorship is an investment in cash or in kind in return for access to exploitable business potential. The first word that's underlined is investment implies what? Return, right? Payback. You will never ask people for money again. You will always say your investment in our activity, in our event, in our association, whatever it is. And then access to exploitable business potential. Exploitable is a positive word in that how can that sponsor take advantage of their relationship with you? Let's go back to the hand washing stuff. That person can immediately say, proud sponsor of da-da-da-da-da, we care. So it allows them to say that. By the way, I have a gazillion cards. When this is all over, if anybody wants me to send this, or can they get it through you, Britt? Okay, because you won't be able to keep track of all of this. So here are trends. Branding, you have to know what the corporate branding strategy is. Does it fit in with yours, or is it contradictory to yours? Corporate social responsibility. Are any of you 501c3s? Or C4s or C6s? Okay. I hit the right number, right? But corporate social responsibility is that companies are demanded by their customers to participate in things that have value. 90% of consumers demand that big business give back. So certainly find out what their corporate social responsibility strategy is and try to tie into it. ROI, return on investment, ROE, return on equity, ROO, return on objective, ROMO, return on marketing objective. ROI, you should give them a minimum 2-to-1 return on their investment in measured marketing value. So that if our person with the hand washing stuff comes in at 10,000, we have to return 20,000, not in money, in measured marketing value. Impact on the attendees, what is our marketing, what is their exposure at the event, and so on. ROE, return on equity. If you've had a sponsor minimum 3 years, they have an equity position, and your attendees, your members, expect them to come back. So that's a wonderful statement back when somebody says, gee, I've done this for 3 years, I think I'm done. No, you're not, because now our members expect you, they trust you. Always remember a little bit of drama when you're selling. There are two things: drama, smiles, and honesty. 3 things. ROO's return on objective, that's hard to measure. Because let's say somebody says, if I participate, will you guarantee 100% increase in sales? Your answer to that is absolutely not. I can't do 100% increase. Look at beverage industry news. When Pepsi has a 0.6% increase in sales over a month, they're ecstatic. So 100% is impossible. ROMO, just return on marketing objective, that was somebody's way of making themselves different. It's all basically the same. Grassroots marketing is bringing it down to the local level. And you're doing that, right? You're bringing people at the local level. Think globally, act locally. Now I'm going to suggest several books to you to read. One of them will be mandatory. I'll leave that till last. But how many of you have read Who Moved My Cheese? How many of you have read Our Iceberg is Shrinking? How many of you have read Thomas Friedman's books, The World is Flat? Yay. And that used to be US, us, but also US. And the last one, Blue Ocean Strategy. Write this down, please. Blue Ocean Strategy. It's written by Doctors Kim, and I never can remember the other one, but it's like Pasta Fazool or some sort of name like that. It says we all operate in the same red ocean. But if, I'm going to move a little bit, I'm going to tell the camera this, but if we can make ourselves different, we're now in the blue ocean, and we don't have any competition. It's just like take a quarter. Does it have heads or tails? Let's say everybody is heads. That's red. Flip it over. You're different. And then when you're different, then it makes it easy to present who you are. You always want to have experiential or activation opportunities. How many of you do register to win? By the way, I have 2 door prizes. May I announce this now, Britt? Or do you want to explain why? Okay. I need somebody, because I can't move off my blue mark. I need somebody, if you'll, we have 2 things we're giving away. Britt has some special stuff she's giving away, and then after she gives away, I'm going to give away.
You want business cards?
I'm sorry. I assumed. That's really dumb on my part. I want everybody's business card. Please tell me you all have a business card with you. Please do not put in a piece of paper that you wrote your name on, because I won't draw it. When you're at a conference or a meeting like this, you need a gazillion business cards. Always have business cards, because you never know when you might need it. Database development, what am I just doing here? I do a bi-weekly newsletter, and you will get a copy. If you don't want it, you just say unsubscribe. It's a little bit of knowledge, a little bit. Sometimes I just share things I've encountered. You guys, if you get the next one, you'll discover I talk about you. Not individually, but as a group. And you will get that. If you don't want it, say you don't want it. Multicultural aspects. We have to tune into the fact that we're a very multicultural country, and we want to appeal to all of the different cultures. We can't be exclusionary. There's more competition for the money, greater expectations for the money. How many times have you had a sponsor who says, let's assume it's $5,000, I really love doing this, but I want you to add this and this and this year. So what do you say? You say, sure? Absolutely not. I would say, absolutely. We have to bump you up a little bit on your investment, okay? You're only going to have to go up to $7,500, but I'm thrilled to add that. Well, I don't want to pay anymore. Well, then we're going to take off 3 things. Quid pro quo. What is it I can pull off? But you don't constantly give in, because then they're in charge, not you. Thank you so much for doing that. Then, of course, technology. Good heavens, we were technologied this morning, right? And how wonderful it was. And then you all have to tap into social media. I'm sure you do that. So here's what sponsors want. They want to increase sales. I have never met a sponsor that didn't want to increase sales. Think about corporate hospitality. Where can you tie in corporate hospitality? Because that's very important to corporations, either to entertain prospective customers or entertain current customers. Then there's introduce a new product, expand use of current products. Sampling, product sampling. You might have somebody that wants to do that. Let's take our hand person again. You have a trade show, they're at a booth. Everybody that comes by, would you like to try a sample of this? So think about how sampling can have value to them. Then employee incentives, customer incentives, trade incentives. An employee incentive is our top 10 people that work for us will get to come to the whatever it is. Customer incentives, and this is more in the retail side, would be, how many of you have a supermarket that if you turn in X number $100 of register tapes, you either get a turkey or a ham at Easter or Thanksgiving? Yeah, okay. I think every supermarket on earth does that. But if it was a retail outlet like that, they would all turn in their stuff and then 5 names would be drawn, so that would be customer. Trade incentives would be an example in New Jersey, the PNC Bank Arts Center had Canada Dry, and they brought all of their suppliers together at the beginning of the year and said, our top 10 companies that have had the most incremental increase, so that could be a bodega that would have the most incremental increase, would then be our guest at the Arts Center to see whatever it was. So you have to think about those different things. Also, product branding, differentiation from the competition. Do any of you have banks or financial planners? Yeah. They all think they're different, right? They're not. So how do we help them differentiate? Those of you that have banks, have any of you gone after credit unions for the money? Credit unions have lots of money, they're competitive with banks, and they're willing to spend it. So just think about that. And the banks feel them nipping at their heels. Association with a different lifestyle. I always use the example of you don't use Metamucil for a skateboard event and you don't contact AARP for 17-year-olds, okay? Just think about who's your audience and what are the products or services that they need. Shape consumer attitudes. I think your organizations do that, right? Shape consumer attitudes. Entertainment, you've always got to think about that. Oops, I'm sorry, I keep hitting the wrong thing. So where do you find sponsors? First place, not only do you look at association executives in this state, look at all the other states. See what they're pulling in and say, wait, I never thought of that. Or you can call them and say, gee, how did you get that person? Or why is that person working with you? So look at your competition. Love the web. Just browse, go through the web. Read trade publications. See what trends there are out there. There's a publication, and you don't have to buy them. You can do it all online. New product news, beverage industry news, chain store age. Some of those that tell you what's happening out there so you can tune into it and see what value it has. You have to go away from your well that you always go to, right? You all go back to the same door, right? Knock, 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 knock. Get more doors. Consumer, I don't think you need much to do with consumer magazines because you're mostly corporate, right? Business. I listen to radio. Who's there? Watch TV, read the local papers, see what you pick up. Look who's spending. How many of you, I'm going to ask a dumb question. How many of you read a paper this morning? Yep. 1 out of 50. I'm a newspaper salesperson and I'm going to call on somebody and say, hello, I'd like to sell you an ad. For 1 out of 50, if somebody's buying a full page ad, go after them. I used to do all the radio spots for Home Improvement Radio Show called The Money Pit. And in USA Today, I'm on a plane, and in USA Today, here's a double truck for Pella windows. I thought, wow, I am not thinking about Pella windows while I'm on a plane. So I called the president of the company. I said, hello, Sylvia Allen, I'm working with Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show. I would like to know how many inquiries you've gotten from your double truck, 4-color, USA Today. Well, he said, I said, you didn't get any. I said, I'm on a plane, I'm not thinking about windows. I said, if I'm listening to the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show, I'm going to be interested in windows and doors. It's the target market. It worked. He bought a year's worth of ads, and they didn't cost him anywhere near what those 4-color things did. Sometimes, I don't know how many of you like cold calls. I love cold calls. I think it's the most fun thing on earth because you never know what you're going to end up with. I had a guy cold call me the other day. He said, I'd like to satisfy your limousine requirements. Great. So I said, well, thank you so much for caring. I said, tell me about your company. So he told me, I said, are you exhibiting at the Women's Expo in 2 weeks? Well, he said, no. I said, you're kidding. You're not going to be there with a limo? Oh, Sylvia, how do I do that? I said, it's your lucky day. I'll send you something. He's going to be there this Saturday, okay? I always go to the top. What does it hurt to go to the top? What's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? He's not there. I say he. 84% of these decision makers are still men, okay? We're edging up on it, but it's taken us a while. Sorry, guys, you're in the minority today, so I think there are 5 of you. We've got you outnumbered. But try to talk to him. Otherwise, if you get a gatekeeper, make the gatekeeper your friend. If you end up in voicemail, don't say, hello, I'm working with XYZ Association. I'd like to talk to you about sponsorship. I say, hi, this is Sylvia. My name is. I give a phone number. Do your phone number at the front end. There are people like us who do not want to hear a long message till you get to the phone number. So do it up front and do it at the end. I need to talk to you about the Women's Expo. I don't even know if you know about it, but I'm sure you're going to want to. Sylvia Allen, da-da-da, and the phone number. I try it 3 times. On the 4th time, if I can't reach them, I call and I say, it's your lucky day. It's Sylvia Allen again, 732-946-2711. And we've had a change, and I disconnect. You think that person doesn't call you back? Sylvia, the call got disconnected. I go, what's your phone company? I said, you need to change. I said, because there's no reason you should miss important calls. But thank you so much for calling, because we need to talk about the Women's Expo. That's the fun part, okay? Do people say no to me? I hate to admit it, yes. One of my ladies in the Friday Morning Optimist says, does anybody ever say no to you? And I answered, and live? And she just walked away. I get no. But for me, it's a game. And it's just bounce hit. You're playing tennis, right? Bounce hit, bounce hit, bounce hit. And then you can go to all these other vice presidents. They'll probably shunt you down, which is fine. Would you transfer me now? Because then the person will pick up, correct? Why? What does it show on the phone? ANI says it's the president, automatic number identification. The president's calling, duh. They're going to pick up, and you say, your president has referred me to you. It's not a lie, right? You just don't ever lie. So Internet Promo Magazine, they once a year publish a whole list of the companies that are just looking for sampling opportunities. Skim through it, see what's worthwhile in there. Event Marketer, same thing, they publish this list. Local media, we talked about that. When do you approach sponsors? Minimum 6 months. Should be working a year out. 50% of sponsorship dollars are allocated in the 4th quarter of the year preceding your activities. The next 25% in the 1st quarter, and then you fight for the rest. How many of you sell each of your events individually? How many of you sell them on an annualized basis? Well, the rest of you aren't selling, I guess. Huh? Sell them annually, because you can give them a greater ROI, because you're starting from the beginning of the year. We're pleased to announce our March event. You're doing it in January, right? And our proud partners are, by the way, you're not sponsors, you're partners. You are marketing partners. Their job is to make you better. Your job is to make them better. So it is a partnership. It is not an adversarial relationship. So, hone your sales skills. You are a consultative salesperson, not a huckster. You should be listening in any conversation that you have 80% of the time. They're going to do the talking, because you'll ask questions. It's called the Socratic method. Ask questions, ask questions. And I always say, share with me how you feel about this. I've read this about your company. It seems like this is the direction you're going. I can't wait to call on somebody and talk about virtual reality. I can hardly wait. They'll say, Sylvia, explain it. I'll go, I've just said it. You know, I don't know anything more about it, but it's something you have to explore, and then I'll give them to him and he can tell them how bright they are. Understand what you are selling. Understand your buyer's sales cycle. Understand the value of what you are selling. Value. So many people underestimate the value of the assets that they have. You have to customize it, and I'm going to show you, we have an asset customization program. I don't believe in packages. I don't do gold, silver, bronze, and all that cutesy crap. I don't do any of it. Not at all. I will put together what I think should be title, presenting, supporting, associate, and investor. We'll call it that, the cheap end. You can't call them cheapskates, so, you know, or beginners, you know. But never gold, silver, bronze, because it traps people into certain things, and I'll explain that. You have to negotiate. You have to overcome objections. One of my favorite lines is always, "We have no money." And I go, "Look at that, we're even." And I move on. Have no money is not an answer. It's a blow-off. And if they say, "Well, we don't have any budget," whose fault is that if they don't have any budget? Is it their fault or your fault? Come on, be honest, it's your fault. You didn't get in there soon enough. You didn't get in there soon enough. You're now at the back end of the queue instead of...
You're pressing the arrow key.
Pardon?
You're pressing the arrow key.
Oh, that's brilliant. I wonder how I did that. Now I go up. Oh, clever. Well, we just whipped through that one slide, right? I get a little excited here, you know. Always make it easy for them. They will tell, the rules are that your sponsor is supposed to spend 3 times as much money as themselves, internally, okay? 3 times as much internally as they give to you externally. What do you think the rules are? That's the rule. You're going to do most of the work. You're going to end up doing most of the work. Make it easy for them, and always follow through. Always. Now you've got to, if you've brought them on as a sponsor, for heaven's sake, keep in touch with them. Don't say, "Thank God I got that money from them this year, I don't have to talk to them again." So keep in touch with them. Minimum 3 to 1, respect that investment. Whether it's a $1,000 investment or a $20,000 investment, they have trusted you to make and return value to them. So you need to do that. Honesty, you got to be honest with them. Deliver on promises. And I always do a little extra, always. If I said you get 2 banners at the event, I gave you 3, okay? Because I respect working with you. Wow, what did it cost you to give them a 3rd banner? They provide the banners. Zip, right? Or I'll give you additional audio announcements from the stage, whatever it may be. On-site implementation is important, and then post-event follow-through. Not just a "thank God this is over and I don't have to talk to them for another year." How many of you a day after an event can't stand your attendees, your sponsors, or anything else, and you think about being a barista at Starbucks? That's called PES, post-event syndrome. Don't talk to anybody that day. Just don't talk to them. Because by the next day, you've kind of got your balance back, okay? You've had all that adrenaline rush, so you've got to breathe a little. So I'll walk you through the 12 steps. You have to take inventory. What is it you've got to sell? And we're at step 7, I'm going to show you something where we capitalize on inventory. So what is inventory? You know, whether it's banners, radio, TV, or print, table tents, on-site signage, posters, flyers, program books. Think about all of the things that you do that have benefit back to a sponsor. Even things like you have a luncheon with all your members. How many of you have table tents on those luncheon tables thanking your sponsors? Hooray, thank you very much. Do it. What's the value to them? Have you ever been in a restaurant or a bar? I know most of you don't go to a bar, but where they have table tents? What do you catch yourself doing? You're reading them, right? So, and I'm sorry about that. I probably clashed it, so he's having trouble following me. But the reality is, think about all of these things that present your partner to the people they want to see. Mailing lists, they will, quite often sponsors will ask you for a mailing list. Never give it to them. quite often it's insurance companies, and they'll say, well, I just want to do a special mailing to your members. Terrific. Give me the letter. We have to approve it. We will do the mailing for you, and your additional investment will be. You don't ever want to let go of your names. Those are your names. And you have an obligation to protect them. You don't want them to feel like they're being spammed as a result of being your members. Again, how did I do this?
Arrow key.
Okay, I'm all right still? Okay. Because I thought I missed something there. Tangibles, audio announcements from the stage. We'd like to thank Joe Blow and his hand-washing stuff, wah, wah, wah. On stage, sometimes people want to be on stage. And I'll just ask you, which is the most expensive, to be in front or behind the podium? I will explain to you, because this is such a short time we have, the most expensive is what they want, okay? I'm sorry, your investment will have to be just a little higher, because it makes no difference, you know? But if it's important to them, it's important to us to keep it important to them. Cross promotions, get your sponsors together to see how they can work together. You know, it's a bank and a cell phone company and a hospital. I'll just make up these three. Okay, how do they work together? Instead of being individual, vertical, they're horizontal. Now they're partnering. The nice thing about the partnership is the minute you've got minimum 3 of them working together, pretty hard for one of them to cancel, isn't it? Because one cancels, the other go, wait a minute. We made this work. So you've built a secondary support mechanism in there. Hospitality, on-stage cross-promotions, internet, VIP viewing. It's so unbelievable to me that you can block off the first 2 rows and put burgundy roping, and it says VIP only. And people come up, well, how do I get to do that? Well, we can improve your partnership, okay? And let's talk about that for next year. And then you get to be in the front row. It doesn't cost you anything, right? But it's an additional asset that's important to people. Intangibles, prestige of the property. Do you have a good reputation? Recognition of your name, market impact, acceptance, audience interest, audience compatibility, category exclusivity. How many of you get a request, I want to be the only fill in the blank? Okay. How do you charge for category exclusivity? You've got to think about what you're not making. I'm going to take our banks as an example because they're great at this. I really want to only be the only bank. Not a problem. There are 5 banks that we could approach, and each one would be 500. I'm telling you what your background is. Therefore, as an exclusive bank, what's the minimum they would pay? You guys are quick. Give me an answer. $2,500. Now, I would double that. I would double it. The other thing is you have to begin to talk funny money. No zeros. I would say for $49.95, you can be the primary exclusive bank. And I have tested this so many times. I give you a guarantee it works. Just briefly, there was a company, they were trying to sell somebody for $10,000. 10,000 gold sponsor. I said, give them to me. I said, give them to me. I'll sell them. No, you don't. I said, give them to me. I didn't understand what the company did. I only knew what the client was offering. And I called the guy and I said, it's your lucky day. You get first to deal with me. My name is Sylvia. Secondly, you don't have to deal with that idiot that's trying to sell you a gold package for $10,000. And third, I want you to erase anything from your memory. And we're going to start from scratch. I said, you're going to tell me what your expectations are from this organization. I am going to send you an asset inventory list of all the things you can take advantage of. And because he was in California, I'm in New Jersey. I said, you're going to check off what you want. And then I'm going to see if I can take care of it. By the way, what's your budget? Somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. Let's see. Okay. He checked everything off, and I could easily deliver it. Because I have to do 2 to 1, right? So I figured, even if it's only $15,000, I still can easily deliver $30,000. He sends it. I clear it with the client. I called him back. I said, I have sold you, or saved you $125. So $19,875, and you get to have all of that. Oh, send me a contract. Following year, 3 months before the contract was due, he says, bump me up 5,000. The third year, he said, bump me up to 32,000. He got to pick what he wanted. He got to enjoy the benefits of it. In fact, when I sent him a post-event report on this first 19,875, I had it around 40,000. Here's the favorite call you get from a client. Your numbers are wrong. He said, it's worth 60,000. You're absolutely right. I underestimated. He felt it had triple the value. All right, is that important? I mean, he has left that company, he has moved else. He's turned out to be just one of my bestest friends because he knew what he was doing. Protection from ambush. Don't let two competitors come in, one for money and one for no. Ambush is that. Sponsor clutter. I haven't seen any of your materials, but don't have any more than 10 sponsors. Any more than 10 sponsors on something. The minute you get into 30 and 40 and 50, it's a disservice to all of them. We talked about the networking, sales opportunities. Okay, number 2, develop media. Try to get a radio partner, a TV partner, a print partner, social media partner. How many of you pay, this is a question because it may not be appropriate. How many of you buy radio to promote any of your activities? How many of you barter radio? Okay, then ignore this part, all right? I failed, Britt, to ask you that question, so it's my fault. Develop your sponsorship offerings. That does not mean we're our gold, silver, bronze, etc. You're going to figure out what title would have, what presenting would have, what associate would have, what affiliate would have, and you're going to do it on a matrix. Here are all the things we've got, here are all my assets, here's the value of everything, and I'm going to pick all of it for my title, then I'm going to pick half of it, and everybody can have something different, but they're all going to pay an equal dollar. Let's say that your presenting sponsor pays $5,875, and your presenting sponsor is in the program book, on the table tents, and gets the mailing list. I'm just making all this up. Well, okay, you've got another one, your title, he doesn't want some of that stuff. She wants something else. And by letting them pick the assets they want and you knowing the value of those assets, it makes it very easy for everybody to spend the same amount because you know they all talk to each other, right? I got mine for 5,000, what did you get? They all get the same value. So, to do it, you have to prepare a budget. What can be bartered? You should figure out what can be bartered. What's the value of barter to somebody with your organization? What are the assets, the value of those assets, and then several opportunities that I just talked about. Then you do a one-page fact sheet. How many of you know what the Iditarod is? How many of you know it starts Saturday? How many of you have been? Yay. In 2007, I rode in it. Not the whole 1,100 miles. I'm not going 1,100 miles with 16 dogs, okay? Not in my book. But I did the first 12 miles because I was going to do sponsorship for them, and I felt like I had to feel it. What is it that's so unbelievable about the Iditarod? And all I can say is you're close enough to go. Sometime go. You have no idea how exciting it is to see 88 racers, each of them with 16 dogs, and the dogs can hardly wait for it to start. They're just like, they're like racehorses. They are loved, they are treated phenomenally well. Anybody that ever tells you those dogs are abused has never met a sled dog. And the saddest picture I ever saw was one, by the way, the lead dog, if you're a winner, what gender is it? You got it. And a guy had a male dog as the lead dog and didn't see the open water and went off in the water and drowned. And I have a picture of this man with his dog. And I thought, every time somebody tells me I'm doing something evil, helping to sell sponsorship, let me show them the sorrow on that man's face. But you have to go. You'll get goosebumps. Do any of you like racing? Any of you been to offshore racing? Oh my goodness. Car racing? Somebody's been to car racing, right? Oh dear. I got to get you guys out of here. You got to go to an offshore race sometime and walk. I used to handle offshore racing. You're sitting on that press boat, and they say, gentlemen, now these are A, B, C, and D boats. These are powerful boats, right? Start your engines? I still get goosebumps. Well, sorry, get a little excited here. So, Iditarod International event, it's in its 40th year. I cannot make a one-page fact sheet. I do not know how to make a one-page fact sheet on here. So just pretend it's a one-page fact sheet. You have to research your sponsors, know who they are. What do they want? And help them get what they want. You've got to pick up the phone. Do not, I don't know how I can stress this, do not send an unsolicited email or snail mail or fax sponsorship solicitation. What do you get? This is interactive, okay. Nada. How many of you get an unsolicited email? What's the first thing you do? Delete, right? Well, that's what they're doing to you. You haven't established any contact. You haven't given this person a reason to even care about you. We've lost so much of this interpersonal capability that when you really care about them, they're dumbfounded. Because so many things are done this way, right? No eye contact, no personal contact. You have to have the personal contact. Once you've had the contact, and they say, send me a package, we don't believe in packages. So I need to meet with you, not I want to meet with you, or I hope to meet with you, I need to meet with you. And we need to go through which of these elements you want and set an appointment. If you can't, sometimes you can't always get the appointment. After the fourth time of them saying, send me something, you've heard the tone, right? You have to listen. Remember when you're selling to stand on your feet, don't sit when you're making phone calls. And so I say, I'm gonna send you a one-page fact sheet. Then I send them a one-page fact sheet and immediately call. I wanna make sure you got it. We don't know if it's floating around in the cloud or whatever the case may. No, I've got it. Ah, thank heaven it got there. Okay, so we need to meet. Do you want to do it this week or next week? You want to do Monday or Friday? Always choices. Don't say, do you want to meet? Because the answer is categorically no. Don't give them a chance to say no. So now you're in front of them, and here's where you have to be creative. And maybe if I could enlist two people to help me with this, one on each side, I'm going to show you how you can be creative. Come on, front row. Step up to the plate. I need to take one of these. So this, what you're going to get is what's called an asset inventory sheet. And it's the one that Britt and I developed for this conference. Instead of gold, silver, bronze, instead of for $500 you get this, for $750 you get this, on and on. And with this, you would sit with a prospective buyer and you would say, I want to walk through some of these elements. And all you do is list the elements you've got available. This is just a multitude of them. And you say, would you like to have a 3-minute speech during the general session? Do you need swag or brochure placement? And hand them a pen, hand them this and a pen, and say, now check off what's important. Now some things I help them with. I may say, you know what, a couple of these things you don't need, let's just cross them off. Which I have to believe in what the guidance I'm giving them. But once they start checking off, what do you think happens? What do you think happens when they start checking off? They what?
You're increasing your sponsorship.
Yeah, they're decided. If they start at the top, oh yeah, this is good, and of course then you can say, wow, this is great. You're qualified to be title sponsor, and it's only $21,275. And then shut up. Two very important words in sales: shut up. Women tend to blither, okay? Well, I mean, if you can't do that, it's a and they say, well, I can't do that. Well, okay, what had you planned on doing? Well, they're not going to say zero, right? Because all of a sudden you've put them in a position they're going to do something. Gee, I thought around 5,000. Oh. Did you see what I just did? What did I just do? Okay. I hate to cut out all this stuff, but for 5,000, I kind of do. Why don't we meet in the middle? Why don't we say 12,875? Well, maybe I can do that, okay? Well, now that's not the middle, right? Is that the middle? No, of course not. But they don't know that because you've just said it, so therefore it's the middle. And then you have to say, okay, cross off. Cross off. Well, I don't want to. I want all of this. I understand. So why don't we go ahead with the original plan of 21,875? I hope you noticed I used some, one of the words I use all the time is we. It's not me, it's not you, it's we are putting this together. We are doing this. We are doing this. You've got to get them involved right away in the process. So once you've told them that they're qualified, and they're not all going to say yes, okay? I make it sound like, wow, this is snap. It's not a snap. And sometimes I have to just be careful to not go, oh, for Christ's sake, just say yes, because that's not nice, you know? On the East Coast, I can, okay? On the East Coast, I can. And you may live out here in Seattle, but you could be East Coast. You talk faster than I do. You have to make the sale. Am I to assume we'll be working together? Okay? Am I to assume we'll be working together? You make the sale. I'm going to go back and I'll write the draft. I don't say contract to an amiable or an analytical because they hate the word contract, so it's just a little letter of agreement. So I just, because I'm not sure what I'm dealing, I just say I'll write it up. Right? And then I will get it to you, draft form. You look at it. Make sure I've delivered everything that you need. And then I need it back from you. Then keep them in the loop. Here's the flyer that we're doing. Here's how your thing is going to look on the website. Here's this, here's this. You know, with PDF and email, it's pretty easy, right? So keep them in the loop. Involve them in your event. Make sure they don't send, I'm almost done, Britt. You'll be really happy to hear that. And she knows I'm racing like a maniac. Involve them in the event. And I always say, does this meet your, the whole time, does this meet your expectations? Are you happy with this? Are your people happy with this? You want affirmation as you go along. And then you're going to take this post-event report. This is where I give them a copy of everything. I give them a certificate of appreciation. And that's when you're going to renew them for next year. I'm assuming since you had such a great time, we'd like to renew you for next year. I can ask my board if they'll rate protect you if you sign a 3-year contract. Would you like to do that? What were the key words in there? Rate protect. Yeah. Okay. Not to do, don't buy a mailing list, don't send a direct mail letter, don't produce a package. Don't do that. Just believe in what you're doing. Have confidence that you know how to sell it. And so that you know that they know that you're delivering phenomenal value. Britt, it's yours.